Welcome to Full Scope, a podcast with two guys in their 20s, giving the respect to one of the games that we love, the headlines of pop culture, and the meaning behind it all. I'm host Wellington Burns, along with my counterpart Savon Morris, and the head of the Green Bay Packers fan club. How's it going, man?
It's going pretty good. How are you?
Doing good, man. And for this episode, we have a lot to get into. Obviously, a few NFL topics as we're just a few weeks away from the season. It's ramping up again. Our favorite time of the year.
Yes.
Also getting into some music reviews in the second half. We're going to do a review of Fences. But to start off with just thoughts on how Mac Jones can grow into the Patriots offense his second year. The Patriots are going to be hosting the Giants in their preseason opener tonight. And Jones recently said after their 11th practice of training camp, quote, at the end of the day, you're going to have your ups and downs and anything new. I think we're close on a lot of things. It's just that 2% we need to fix, end quote. But to you, what are your thoughts on how Mac Jones can develop? Because, they had a good season last year, but obviously with how things closed out, it wasn't the same type of start they wanted to have to make a deep run in the postseason.
I think Cam Newton said it the best. Mac Jones is going to be a problem for years. You just look at what he was able to accomplish in his rookie season. He had them in the top 15 in every category. There was 8 in rushing, 14 in passing, and there were 15 averaging, I think, 353 yards a game. It's going to come. They have the players. They draft well. They get players that fit into the system that Bill Belichick liked. Mac Jones checks boxes, and we said this when he was at Alabama. He's a facilitator. He's a game manager. He's not going to
quarterback.
Wow. Yes, he's not going to wow you with 500 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, rushed for 68 yards. He's not going to do that. He's going to manage the game. He's smart. He's intelligent. He has
not the Sports Center top 10. He's not
going to be I think his highlight of the year was when he got drafted. How he's walked out. That was the highlight of his entire rookie year. Him walking out, just I'm a man with a mission. I'm a man with a mission. But you go. They have the weapons, Wellington. I'm excited at what they can do. You get Devontae Parker, who still got some juice left in those legs. He's going to take the roof off. I'm looking for Aguilar to come out and be that slot wide receiver they need. But I think they're going to be fine. Damian Harris is at the running back position. James White just retired. They're going to miss him. But I think he's more than capable of taking this team to the playoffs or getting at least 10 wins out of 17. I think last year should show people that he's legit. He's a legit quarterback. He's going to be around for a long time.
Yeah, definitely. And when you have a coach like Bill Belichick who knows how to manage so many offensive systems and just teams in general because of what he's been through over the years. Do you think it's one of those things where Belichick and the Patriots, just front office, they just kind of have a patience because they know, hey, we've had a lot of success, but this is a different type of era for us, and we just have to trust the process for how long this can go with this young quarterback?
Oh, yeah. You can't tell me Bill Belichick, the front office, they didn't do their ultimate research on Mac Jones. And then you have a good friend in, Nick Saban, who gives some little tidbits. We saw, footage of them talking, football and whatever, when they would say, can y'all leave the room? We see them, he's getting information that no other coach has. So I know they took the precautionary measures to say, okay, we're going to take a chance on Mac Jones. He's the quarterback we like. When you look at the Bill Belichick era, Tom Brady is similar to Mac Jones. Tom Brady didn't come in as this gunslinger. No, he wasn't. He grew into the role, and then he became that quarterback who would give you 400 yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns, or even run and shake a Hall of Famer, Brian Urlacher, or run against, try to run over Ray Lewis. That's gonna come. But there was 10-7 last year. 3-3 in AFC East. They were second in AFC East with a rookie quarterback. Has some shaky stuff going on, but I think they're more than capable, and Mac Jones is more than capable of winning more than 10 games this year. They have the weapons, and he has one season under Bill Belichick's system.
Definitely. And now getting into just kind of how high does the duo of Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb rank, just as a RB tandem. This duo has been just so potent together as, we really haven't seen just a pairing like this in Cleveland since Kevin Mack and Ernest Biner, who played together in the late 1980s. And, Kareem Hunt has recently requested a trade, but Chubb has recently said that he wants him to stay. But what are your thoughts on just how good of an RB duo this is, and just the fact that Hunt wants to go, but Nick Chubb definitely knows how good of a duo this is and how just potent they can be going forward?
I think they balance each other out. You look, Nick Chubb is that bruiser who has sneaky speed, who can do multiple things out the backfield block. But I think Kareem Hunt, when it comes to screen plays, when it comes to catching the ball outside of the backfield, he's pretty darn good, Wellington. And I think that's why they balance each other. And Nick Chubb did have his, injury issues last year, and then Kareem Hunt had to step up. But I think they balance each other out. What they rank, I don't know, maybe top 7, because you have a lot of guys.
Top 7. Yeah.
Top 7, you have a lot of good system. I'm biased. We got Aaron Jones and the big fella. You know what I mean? Like, I'm biased, but you also have Alvin Kamara. You have Marvin Ingram. You have a lot of guys, a lot of duos that are really good. You have Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. Like, that's scary in itself. Cam Akers, and you have I think his name is Kyrie Williams. So I think there's a lot of good running back duos, but they are top 7. They're definitely top if they stay together. But I think Nick Chubb understands, like, I can't do this by myself. And the NFL has transitioned into the running back doing multiple things. So I think with Kareem Hunt on the football team, I think they balance each other out and give Nick Chubb the rest that he needs during the game.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, when you look at a player like, obviously with Kareem Hunt requesting a trade, we've seen other players in this offseason, like, get trades, especially, like, in particular, Tyreek Hill and what he was doing. Like, when you see a player do that, obviously with Tyreek Hill's situation, it was a little different. And that is a fascinating look at what the Chiefs have going on. Like, what does that say to you when a player has won a Super Bowl, but they're still at that point where they're like, I want something else. I want something different. And they're having to kind of shake up something, but get what they want, even though they've already kind of been at the top.
I think it's to a point in their career where they feel like a team is etching them to a role they don't want to buy into. And you're like, okay, if you guys don't see me as what I feel like I am or where I am in my career, why would I stay? I'm going to seek other people that see me the way I see myself. But at the end of the day, sometimes you got to be realistic with yourself. And I think Kareem Hunt is at a point in his career where he still has that capability of taking the top off. He's a good blocker and he's great in the passing game. So I think he definitely has value to himself. I think he's perfect with the Browns, but even though with the quarterback situation, I think that played a part in it too, because Deshaun Watson is looking at a year ban, and then nobody
I really want to stick around for that.
Yeah, no. So I understand where Kareem Hunt is coming from, and I think he's more than capable of being able to do that. But some people that's in this predicament or have been in a predicament did things like Le'Veon Bell should have stayed, and then his career kind of waned, and he went to the Jets and he didn't do anything in the Jets. And then, you know what I mean? So it just depends on being realistic. You have to be realistic with yourself, what tier you are in your career. And I think players, have that sixth sense, like, okay, they don't want me to be this player. They want me to be that player. So it's tricky.
Absolutely. And now getting into just kind of like how good of a chance do the Rams have of repeating as Super Bowl champs. Looking back at the history of the league, it's been 20 years since we've seen a repeat ever, since the Patriots back in 2003. And the Rams, they have key players returning, such as Aaron Donald, Bobby Wagner, and Jalen Ramsey on defense. And then, Stafford plus Cooper Kupp are really key offensive elements that are returning. Like, to you, like, looking at this team and just what they have going forward, because, we definitely knew the talent that they had. They weren't, when they got Odell, they weren't immediately on the uptick because they had a 2-game losing streak, but then were able to go on a run in the postseason, be the defending Super Bowl champs before they went to the NFC Championship. Like, how do you view their season going forward in a very competitive NFC, and just what they have for this year?
Ooh, it's going to be hard, Wellington. Even with Bobby Wagner coming over, even Aaron Donald coming back, you still have Matthew Stafford, Kupp, Cam Akers is going to be fully healthy. Their schedule is probably the top 5 hardest. You got Buffalo the first game of the season, Wellington.
Buffalo is one of the most dangerous teams in the league.
Yes.
Just to start off the year.
Yes. They're getting better. Allen has exceeded all expectations coming into I think his third or fourth year in an NFL and being a star quarterback. He's changed the identity of the Buffalo Bills, and it seems like it's back to the Jim Kelly era.
And one thing I wanted to add, you know how close we were to actually getting that Super Bowl? Like Buffalo should have beat Kansas City, and like this actually could have been the Super Bowl that we got if you really think about it. Because I think Buffalo against Cincinnati, like I think most people would have probably picked Buffalo just based on how well they were playing. And obviously Cincinnati was amazing, but I mean, you were just pretty much one game away from getting that Super Bowl originally with Buffalo and the Rams.
Oh yeah, and then I think Buffalo and Rams have similarities, especially with their front seven when they don't allow much rushing yards, and the Bengals could not move the ball running wise. So and then they allow I think 7 sacks in the Super Bowl, and Aaron Donald had 2 of those, and Von Miller had 1 or 2, but he calls 3 or 4. Like there's similarities. I would have loved to see that young quarterbacks going at it, but I think it's going to be extremely difficult for them to repeat. Third game is Arizona. Fourth game is San Francisco, Dallas. You got San Francisco twice. You got Tampa. You got Arizona twice. You got Green Bay Packers. You got Kansas City Chiefs. New Orleans. Their schedule.
They have a loaded schedule, man.
And then they got LAC at the end of the season, and it's gonna be hard.
And we're big Justin Herbert fans. Justin Herbert fans.
Oh.
I think his potential is just sky high.
The future quarterback scene is in good hands. It is in good hands for the next 7 to 10 years. And it's going to get even better. But this schedule is top 5 hardest this year. And even with the new players and the additions and the old guys coming back, it's going to be extremely difficult for them to even make it out of the division. The division is extremely tough.
That was another question I had. Like just not even looking at the Super Bowl, just how tough their division is going to be, because that's going to be a tall task in and of itself.
Oh yeah, but everybody say Arizona is going to be kind of a lightweight because DeAndre Hopkins is out for 4 games for substance. I think he did some not steroid, but some drug thing or whatever. Yeah. But he's out 4 games. But I think they're still tough. It's still going to be a tough team, So their division, San Francisco, they got, chip on their shoulder. Then Trey Lance era starting. I think it's going to be, if he lives up to expectation, this division is never going to waver anytime soon. Seahawks is going to be on the rise, but, the Rams, Arizona, San Francisco are always going to be tough teams in the NFC. And it's so happened to be in the same division, but yeah, it's going to be hard. Matthew Stafford going to have to play perfect football, because their schedule is going to be tricky. I know they're going to lose against us, go Pack go, but
go Pack go.
I'm just going to throw that out there.
Do you have any early forecasting or just early thoughts on just how the Packers season could look and just what your expectations are coming up?
We're going to make it to the playoffs and we're going to lose again. That's what it's been. I don't think we've added anybody convincingly to tell me that we could get over that hump.
And I was even reading an article from The Ringer about just like how there's certain teams in the NFL, their focus is on a hot start in September or just how are we going to look in January. Green Bay's that team. It's just, it all matters about January. Like no matter how good the season are, because we know they're going to have a phenomenal season. They're going to do really well.
Yeah,
12, 13 wins. But what can you do in January? And that's the same thing against San Francisco. Like they had home field. Everything was set up for them back to back years.
Yeah,
and it just it wasn't able to develop into a long run.
I'd rather go 9-7, 10, and 10, you know what I mean, and be able to
almost
make
like
it over that hump.
Almost like the Giants when they're a wild card, like don't even come expecting anything.
Yo, I'd rather have that and try to get over the hump. It seems that we cannot figure out how to get over the hump, and I don't see on offense what the additions that we did and trading Devontae Adams away. I don't see how we could get over that hump. So.
Right.
Yeah, I foresee us losing in the playoffs again.
Another early exit playoff.
Another early exit. This is sad, man.
And now getting into our first review, our first music review, dealing with SZA's Control Deluxe, and just kind of thoughts on how the new track sounded. In this deluxe, the added songs on here, just show the transparency she always brings, and the narrative just very unique as well. With tracks that go through the motion of intensely relatable frustration and also doubt. But looking at some of these new tracks, I mean, like these are album songs. Like these could have fit on a new album. These are Lucy's that she was able to add on the 5-year deluxe. What were your thoughts on just how some of these new tracks sounded and just what she has going forward?
It makes me want the album. It just makes me want the album. That's it. Like we talked about it last week. Just drop it already. You should have dropped it 3-4 months after Kendrick dropped. Give
perfect
us perfect rollout, But those songs are dope. That just makes me dope. Yeah, they're so dope. They're literally a vibe. She's a walking vibe. And it just makes you want the album.
She had the Come and See remix on the 2 a.m., which I think she literally bodied. I mean,
she definitely bodied. She definitely bodied. It just makes me want to know, like, what's TDE marketing plan for her album and how many. And they're smart too, because when you sign a contract, you have so many albums you have with the label. Yeah. So if they prolong your albums, you're going to stay on the label long, because it doesn't matter how long you've been with the label. It matters by how many albums you dropped and have you made that money back yet. Mm-hmm. So that's smart too. They could be able to keep her on the label longer and, hold out her albums. But then, I don't know. I'm just speculating at this point, Wellington, because we don't have any. We don't have a new album yet, so
we don't have any new music.
Anything. I don't think she's still alive. I don't think she's alive, Wellington. That's why they ain't dropped it yet.
Can we check if she's still alive? Sis, are you there?
She need to do a live video, and she needs to make sure it's her.
Honestly, she needs to do a live video. My goodness, man.
But they probably won't let her do that, because she probably will be like, they holding me back. They're holding me back. They won't let me drop it.
Or she's gonna do the thing where artists they play like a snippet of a new song coming out, and they're gonna be like, "Nah, we don't want."
Right.
And now getting into our next review with Shantel May's here. This new track, it kind of had a 90s vibe to it, and covers just loyalty in a relationship, and also trying to make things work. Even when there's significant doubt. Like, what were some of your thoughts on this single, and just kind of like how it sounded overall? Because it did have this feel of wanting to keep a relationship going, and then there's that 50-50 feel to it, and it definitely, like I said at the top, it really kind of had a 90s overall vibe to it.
Yeah, I love the beat, I love the production, but I just didn't like her on it. Yeah. I just didn't like her on it. I loved her with Rory and Raheem.
Yeah, that was nice.
I loved her verse on that. Her voice was amazing. But this one I wasn't really feeling. But when the first beat came on, I was like, okay, this is going to be, I like the beat, I like the vibe. And then how she came on, how she was like more like low-key falsetto. But I understand why she sung it that way, to kind of match the vibe of the song. But it just didn't turn out the way I thought it would turn out. But I wasn't really vibing with it. But I think she still.
I like her feature. I like the feature that she had with the Roy song more than this one. That was kind of disappointing.
Oh yeah. Because she came in strong. Like when she came on the feature, like her first note was like super strong. Like she punched her microphone, and she did. And she just came on, man. So, but this one I got to listen to more of her music, because I didn't know she featured on the Visions album during the pandemic. Wow. Yeah.
Oh my god.
She featured on I gotta listen to it. I was like, oh, okay. She got a couple songs here now. Okay. But this one I wasn't really feeling.
Yeah. And I mean, like that is the thing, because we do see that in certain artists, in terms of like we hear the production is flawless, but then they don't really fit on it as well. Do you think that's one of those things of just like not picking the right beat for you? Because it was a good beat, but it just didn't really fit what she possibly could have done on it.
I think so. I don't know. Like, artists are different, especially if you're signed to a label. Like, okay, I watched T-Pain's, a lot of his interviews, and like his label like gave him 15 beats, 20 beats every time he went to the studio, and he sift through them and kind of say, okay, all right, I'm gonna push out a whole bunch of hooks and then we're gonna do it this way. I don't know if she picked this beat herself or she had a team where they came up with melodies and lyrics to it, because I'm pretty sure she had somebody writing her stuff. It just didn't gel well. I don't think. Yeah. I mean, the beat alone is a single beat for certain.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a single beat. Yeah,
definitely a single beat. It just didn't. Right. Yeah, it just didn't resonate to me. Maybe if you listen to it in a different mode or different setting.
Yeah, settings do matter too.
It does. It does. Your mental at the point, it does matter. It does matter. But so I don't know. It wasn't nothing I was, crazy about.
Yeah. And now getting into Reason and the games, Impalas and Hydraulics, which hand claps, because whenever it's Reason, so Savon is all in when it's a Reason song, because we cannot wait for that next album, because his last one was just phenomenal. But in this new track, which arrives ahead of his upcoming project, there's just structured rhyme schemes with purpose, and this track just shows his lyrical prowess once again. Like, this was a phenomenal, just on point track in terms of the lyricism that he had, and adding the game fit on it just really well. Like, what were your thoughts on this track? Because I believe he released a single before this and it didn't have the same and it had J-Rock on it, didn't have the same feel to it, but this one I really feel as though he hit the mark on it, showed the lyrical prowess, and just kind of like a good setup for his next project.
Great melody, great bridges in between his verses and the hooks. He placed there. His ad-libs was nice. Okay, I love it. It was simple. The hook was simple, but it still resonated, still hit. And then the game, man. I mean, the game came on and slid on it.
He's got an album dropping tonight. Dramatic.
Yeah. Perfect feature. Both of the guys. Once again, I didn't know who verse was better. Which is a good thing.
It was so close. They went back and forth.
Yeah, which is a good thing. But that's big. I'm glad whoever told him to put the game on this track, because I mean, it's Impalas, and you know what I mean. That's right up the game's alley, man.
Come on, I'm gonna come on.
Right, yeah. So I thought that was a perfect situation for him to drop, and I thought that was definitely a single song.
Yes, got that one right.
Yeah, the beat was fire too. Beat was crazy.
As soon as that came on, I was like, I'm in.
I was like, oh. And then, Reed's got that scratchy voice, not hard as Jadakiss, but it's a little there. And it's just his voice, it's crazy. Yeah, that's a dope track.
Definitely. I mean, I know New Beginnings is like one of your favorite albums of the last few years. I mean, that's is there what do you want to see from him in his next album? Because obviously that one was so good. It was the level of quality was just so high. Like, in terms of this next project, what do you want to see him go into, or is it maybe like a continuation of what we saw in that last project?
I don't want him to be the next Kendrick or be like Kendrick. Okay. Kendrick had the lane of being, poetic and having something to say about his environment. Like being pro-black and stuff. That's cool. That was Kendrick's lane.
For Kendrick, yeah.
Reason has his own lane, but I think he's going to be the face of TDE because Kendrick is gone. His last album, he's gone. He's not with TDE anymore. So I just want him to continue to grow as he's already doing, because he has a great sound of music. He has a great catalog. The guy can't miss. To me, he hasn't missed yet. Like, since I've been listening to him and gradually going back and listening to his previous work, but I think he has progressed in all factions of music, of hip hop, melodies, cadence, voice, knowing how to be simplistic when it comes to hooks, but they resonate and they hit hard. Yeah, I just want him to continue to be him. And he's the face of TDE in my eyes. J-Rock had it for a certain stint. Kendrick had it for a long stint. And now it's Reason's turn. It's Reason to be the face of TDE. Because SZA ain't never going to drop. No. So she can't be the face.
You can't be the face if you're going to drop something.
You can't be the face.
You can't be the face if you're going to drop something.
No, can't be the face of it.
Yeah. And now getting into Jid's new song with Kenny Mason, Dance Now, which was produced by Cristo and Aviate. It's a head nod or just filled with religious references, and shows ruminations on choices we make in life. And his next album, The Forever Story, is dropping August 26th, and this was the lead up to it. Like, what were some of your thoughts on this track? And just like, we're huge fans of what J.I.D can do, because he's really one of the underrated rappers in hip
Yes.
hop, and it's been a while since he's dropped a project. Like, what were your thoughts on this track, and just what he has coming up and going forward in the Forever Story?
Versatility at its finest. Like, when it comes to hip hop, he's perfect.
Yeah.
He checks boxes. Like, it's crazy why I don't listen to him more. I don't know why I don't listen to him more, but he checks boxes for certain. I've never heard him on a track not kill it, not figure out a way to, even with the track with him and Reasons, talk and Instinct, like his.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, I don't understand. Like, how do you find these melodies, bro? How do you do this stuff? Like, how?
Yeah.
Like, dude,
is the guy
just,
even he can even challenge J. Cole on a verse when they're together.
Yes.
Like, that's what he can challenge the top guys in hip hop on a verse. Like, no one's safe when you're on a track with
nobody, because he can switch the whole. He can bring a different element out of the song that didn't know it was possible. Like, if you send him a song, like, you're the artist, you want him to feature on, he's like, I didn't even think about that melody. How do you, like, that's crazy. Like, he does that. Like, I don't understand. Like, as a rapper, as an artist, like, how do you do that consistently enough? Yeah. And it hits every time. It's not like he should have never did that. It's never that way, Wellington. Oh, no. I've listened to him on Pivot. I've listened to him with Saba. I listened to him with Spill Village. His first group with Earth Grain them. Like, I've listened to every possible scenario. Yeah. Every time he raps, he figures out a different way to be different or elevate his sound. That's crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, there we go again. Because I mean, like, you got two artists that we just talked about just drop really like pinpoint singles. Like,
yes,
when you look at when that happens, when artists are able to do that, does that say more about the artist or more about like the team that they're with and the feedback that they're giving to lead them into that? Like, is it one of those things where you're like, that artist is doing it mainly, or he's really, or is it just like he's really listening to the team he has and they're just like mapping out things the right way?
I think it's a bit of both. Because if you look at an artist standpoint, you have the ear first and foremost. So you've been doing music long enough, you know what sounds good, what can be released or has a possibility to be released, and what doesn't. Like, I countless hours in here, I'm like, I'm working on a song or 3 songs and I'm done, and I come back the next day, I'm like, yo, that doesn't sound good. That's not good enough. And you try to fix it, it's not good enough. And you move on to the next. Like, you have that ear as an artist because you're a consumer first. Yeah. And then, so you have that sixth sense of like what's good and what doesn't hit. Like, you know that. And then once you know it hits for you and it feels good to you, then you get that feedback from your team. They're like, okay, I like this, but maybe you tweak it here. So I think it's a bit of both, but it always starts with the artist itself, because you have that sixth sense. If you really listen to music and you're really doing what you need to do in the studio, you'll understand. Yeah, I don't want that. Let's scrap that. I don't want to do that anymore. Like, it's a sixth sense. So I think every artist, it starts with them, and then having a team to give you that feedback is also vital too. So it's a bit of both.
Yeah. Absolutely. And getting back to this is a throwback review, like a really old album, and most of because I kind of want to start doing that. Is finding some throwback albums, because like he was in his prime and in his peak, really one of the most talented rappers, gifted rappers. And in his album Black on Both Sides, this was one of those albums where it was just meticulously crafted lyrics. He has sporadic introductory speeches, tribe style, laid back beats. Like, there's so much that he puts into this, and it's one of those projects that I feel as though was ahead of its time, because he was like in some of those speeches that he played in the songs, trying to be a prophet, trying to be a forerunner for the culture. Like, when you look back at this album and just the influence it has, like, 20 plus years later, what are your thoughts on it and just, what it was able to accomplish?
Most Def. What a name, first and foremost.
Oh, yeah.
Most
Fire
Def.
name.
Like, fire name. The guy could freestyle for hours.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hip hop started about freestyling on the corners. New York, Brooklyn. Like,
it took you back to that. It took you back to just where it all started.
Yes. And you just look at his videos, even when like he was in the midst of being Most Def, like you could tell, like, okay, this dude is just like talented. This album, bro, like Mathematics is my favorite song on this album. Bro, Mathematics beat is so crazy. And like, yo, him and Talib Kweli, bro, they was a crazy duo with the label.
Yeah.
They should have signed Kanye, but the label didn't want to sign Kanye, but that's another story. But yo, I think this
whole story about that.
yeah, a whole documentary on
documentary. Yeah, literally.
But no, I thought this was dope. Like Most Def, like authentically hip hop, bro. Like he's just lyrical. He has the bars. He has the he check boxes too. Like, you know, but his style wasn't accepted all the time though, because he has a different style. Him and Talib, they have a different style.
And that's another thing I wanted to bring up. Like when you look at an artist like him, who we both universally respect and just accept as just a great rapper overall, and in every category you can put in. Like, what are your thoughts on the fact that he wasn't as accepted? Because, like you said, he had a different style. He had something that people weren't completely familiar with and comfortable with.
I think it grows on you. But you know it's a New York thing. It's authentically hip hop. But I think it has to grow on you. Like who's an artist had to grow on me? Drake had to grow on me, to be honest with you. Like I didn't like Drake at first. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I was like, bro, who is this dude? Like Degrassi? Who's this dude? Wheelchair guy? Okay. All right, he's rapping. All right, cool. I didn't like him at first. Now I'm like a huge fan of Drake. So it has to grow on you. And him being consistent in the sound of music, he has a huge fan base. So I think it just depends. It's just about like waiting your turn and creating that foundation, and people are going to gravitate it sooner or later. And that's what people did, because he would stay true to himself, him and Talib. I always got to, want them together because they have the similar style. They was on the same label. Yeah. They, I think of them as, with Q-Tip. What's Q-Tip? What their group name? Come on, Wellington. Q-Tip. It's going to eat me. Q-Tip. Not Goody Mob. That's not good. That's CeeLo though. Oh man, I can't remember that. But they all have the same style. Yeah. Q-Tip, his crew, Most Def them. But you had to you had to warm up to it, and people had to accept it. And then once they accept it, they realize how great you are, how good you are. And them boys used to rap. Matter of fact, we can move on, but I'm gonna have to look that up. I forgot their name.
Nah, not at all. And I mean, like you said, this album just it really does show the versatility, and just kind of like going forward, what his career was going to play out to. It may have not played out the way we thought it would, but it definitely was a phenomenal album that stands the test of time. I don't know. Do you want us to wait for when we get back for the review to okay,
Tribe Called Quest?
Yep, there you go.
There we go.
There you go.
Them boys rap, boy.
It's one of my favorite groups ever. Yeah, my favorite groups ever. Yeah, definitely. And then and one more thing, when you look at an artist who's just an A-lister now in hip hop, and they're at the top, who to you has had the most improbable rise? Like somebody who's at the top, and everybody was like, "There's no way we thought they would be that big."
Drake.
Yeah,
for certain. A lot of people, Jim Jones said it. Snoop Dogg said it. 50 Cent said it.
Snoop Dogg even admitted it. Snoop Dogg I didn't think he'd be as big as he is today.
J. Cole. J. Cole's another one.
Another one.
Being on Jay-Z's label doesn't always merit you to the top. You know what I mean? And he said that a lot, especially in Sideline Story. He meant that a lot. But I think J. Cole's, how his progression was, his lane was different. And I think people gravitated toward it because he used to talk about college a lot. He talked about his struggles when he was a kid, being, half black, half white. Like, people gravitate towards that. And his fan base put him up there. Obviously, you got to have a great fan base, but his content, people had to warm up to J. Cole.
Oh, yeah.
And once they warmed up to J. Cole and accepted him, his fan base went up. And I'm one of them. Yeah, sure. I'm one of them. But like J. Cole and Drake, I know they, they're the top guns, but him and Drake, J. Cole, and Joey Badass.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
Joey.
Yeah, for sure.
Didn't think Joe was gonna be that, but I knew he always. You see his old stuff. You know he was rap. He was hip hop, and he's from New York. But you didn't know he was going to get to where he was and deliver one of the best albums to this day in America with 3Ks. Like that album is still stand the test of time. But him, both three of those guys, I think, kind of surprised me to be up to where they are now. Yeah, definitely be the odds.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with our Fences review. Welcome back to the show, and now we're getting into our Fences review. And to start with the overview, Fences is a 2016 American period drama film starring, produced, and directed by Denzel Washington, written by August Wilson, based on his Pulitzer Prize-winning 1985 play of the same name. In addition to Washington, the film stars Viola Davis, Stephen McKinley Henderson, Jovan Adepo, Russell Hornsby, Michael Makita Williamson, and also Sania Cindy. And when you look at this film, it had a budget of $24 million and also brought in $64.4 million in the box office. Had a 92% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and it was also chosen by American Film Institute as one of the top 10 films of 2016, including 4 Oscar nominations at the 89th Academy Awards: Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress, and also Best Adapted Screenplay. When you look at this film and just everything it was covering, obviously, like with the father-son relationship, him wanting to be a baseball player and then seeing what his son wanted to do, and that tug of that pull of what do I need the best for my son to do, and also his dreams and aspirations, and just the family dynamics that were brought into that. What were your initial thoughts on it, and just kind of like looking back at the significance of it?
Excuse me. First, looking at this film, it does cover so much. It covers the family dynamics and the hierarchy that it comes within, just not even just a black family, but just in a family in altogether, especially in that time, and just how much pressure that it was for a black male to succeed or to provide and to make, and do all these things to make sure his family good, and the wife having to sacrifice as well, and the kid doesn't understand. Like, it's so many it talked about so many good family dynamics, dreams, aspirations. I thought it was really dope that it touched it, and that we got the women's perspective first and foremost. Really, we got the women's perspective in how women felt, because they couldn't do anything else. They couldn't do anything else. They was not meant to be, but they was shelled to be a housewife, take care of the kids, take care of the, do the certain things around the home, couldn't go get a job, couldn't make as much money as the male. So it touched so many things, and then it gave the woman's perspective, and it gave the kids' perspective, the aftermath, the consequences, the cause and effect. So I thought this film touched so many things, and then I thought it was shot beautifully. Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things. That's one of the biggest things, because you can just tell how well the movie was shot, and just all the aspects of it. Like when you first saw it, what was, were the family dynamics the first thing that stood out, or the aesthetic of the film? Like, when you look at, especially with it also being a Broadway and having a story on it, and there were just so many, connecting parts to it. Was the film kind of like being shot well, like one of the main things that kind of like stood out to you when you first saw it?
No, I mean, you get into it because of Viola Davis and Denzel Washington, the actors. But once you get into just being excited because they're in the film, and then you get into the storyline, you get into the family dynamics, and you see how it's shot. I think seeing how it's shot is different, because it's not an action film or a comedy or something like that. It's not. You don't look at the aesthetics first, but when it comes to like drama and family woes, you look at you try to indulge into the storyline before you indulge into the how it's shot. But I think the storyline really kind of captivated me for a moment. And then you look at, okay, they shot this really well. Okay, I love that scene. I love how they transition in. I love this shot. Like then you get into that for me. Yeah, for me.
Absolutely. And getting to our first topic from 1 to 4 stars, what would you give it? Like looking back at this movie, like what would be your particular rating for it, and just like some of your reasons?
I would have to give it 4 stars.
Yes,
I have to give it 4 stars because I love the way they utilize the metaphors. Standing in one spot with you. Baseball terminology. I got 2 strikes. I didn't want to get a 3rd strike. I bunted. You know what I'm saying? I fooled them, Rose. Like I love the way they use that. Like how I always say Malcolm and Marie use music.
Yes.
To bring the scene out a little more. They use metaphors. They use they use examples, and it makes you think. Okay, if you can't understand it in like the normal way, okay. Sports might be, I can't explain it any other way. So I'm a sports guy. I love baseball. I talk in baseball terms. Yeah. So I love the way they utilize the metaphors, utilize other things to try to explain what's going on. And I give it 3 out of 5 stars because, Viola Davis scene when she was just slinging snot. I know they was thinking in my head, girl, it's not that serious. It's really not that serious. Can you come out and give Viola a napkin, please?
Yeah, napkin.
Somebody give her a napkin, please.
But getting into the rating for this, I would give it 4 stars as well. I feel as though the symbolism was just very strong in it. It's just like when you look at the dynamics and the performances that are being displayed, especially in a Black family where we all know like there's the image of what a father is supposed to do. To really support his family and kind of just separate himself in the pack into just a very competitive society and a workforce. I thought that was just displayed, to perfection in terms of what Denzel Washington was doing, and even especially Viola Davis.
Yes,
from a woman's perspective, we don't see that in a lot of films, and then we were finally able to get that in this one. But getting into our second topic with favorite character, like who particular to you was kind of like the main character that was kind of the standout, or you kind of felt as though was the top one in terms of like what you observe from them the most?
I gotta go with Denzel. What he was able to do with the character, because he's done this on Broadway too. And then I forgot the gentleman's name. Old school guy, did Lion King the voice. James Earl Jones.
There you go.
He did it on Broadway too. And I've seen clips of him doing it on Broadway. Doesn't come close to what Denzel did. It's different. It's the voice. It's what you bring out of here, your actions, his movements. Like he brings it out. Like you can, that's a perfect example of 2 people doing the same role
in a completely different way.
Completely different way. And who brings it out? Because James Earl Jones has that voice, but sometimes it doesn't matter about the voice. It's the tone of it. It's a tone of it and how you bring it out with your body. So I think Denzel, I think he realized that at a young age of his career, that's why he moves the way he moves, talks the way he talks, lip, you know what I'm saying? Because you remember
it's those particulars, it's those details, those small details.
The small details.
Man.
And then the look is a bunch of stuff. But no, I think Denzel's my favorite character because I think he bodied this role on screen and on Broadway. He just brung it out. He just brung it to a different way. Especially, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but this scene, like my favorite scenes that we'll talk about here shortly, that he just brung it out. I felt like I was like there. You know what I mean? I was just like a fly or something.
And that was another thing I wanted to mention. This felt like one of those movies that you were literally there. Like when I was watching it last night, it almost felt as though I was right there on screen. It just felt like a very personal movie. Like when you watch a film like that, is it one of those things where you can kind of just feel it from like, the beginning moments, or is it just like throughout the film? Like there's that one point where you're like, look, I really feel like I'm a part of this movie in a way that's just different than other ones that I've watched.
Oh, for certain. I think that's how you make it personable and you kind of relate to it. Because I've been in situations like that, thinking, my dad didn't like me or something like. Because he didn't show affection, he didn't give us hugs or things like that. He wasn't that type of guy. Like he didn't grow up that way. So like some of the times, like you even like me. Like I felt like I never said that to my dad, but I thought I was like, do my dad even like me? Like he don't show us no affection, but he was there. You got food to eat. He always present to the games, all that. He was there. He was our cheerleader. He was our number one fan. But you missed because you kind of don't think about like the things that matter. Like you got clothes, you got food, you got heat, you got electric, you got everything you need. We don't think about that.
Yeah.
That's what they think about. Like, I don't have to like you. I don't gotta like you. I gotta provide for you. That's my job. Ain't nothing in the description that say I gotta like my kids. So I felt that moment. I felt it. So Denzel kind of he bodied this role, bro.
Yeah, I would definitely have Troy Maxson as my favorite character. I mean, like, and another thing as well is just kind of the trauma and when things finally fall apart, as we see later on in the movie, and just how that goes with him, kind of wrecking the family dynamic and just kind of like his wife trust. There's just so many things that he's carrying in this film that it's really gripping. Like it's a really gripping movie. It doesn't hold back anything. They really cover every aspect. And I mean, another thing, when you look at this entire cast, like do you feel as though, in terms of just, not only with Denzel and Viola, but just every other part, because I feel as though this was a really like well put together cast.
Yes,
there was no thing left unturned. Everybody, even if there wasn't a significant role, they were put in the right pieces to like really flourish and help this movie.
Yes, Russell Hornsby.
Yeah,
one of the he's been in so many black films and regular films. He's a good actor. McKelty Williamson, he's a good actor. Like, he's played in so many funny roles, and his role was pretty dope. Like I think like you said, their cast, even Jovan Adepo, like him playing Corey, like their casting was spot on for this movie, and it's it's evident when you get so many nominations, 59 wins, 120, like one Oscar, like
don't miss.
It don't miss. Like that's a perfect casting. Like they checked all the boxes. I mean, everybody did a phenomenal job. Everybody got paid too.
Definitely. And now getting into some of the memorable scenes of the film. Obviously the Ain't Got to Like You scene, one of the top ones, Becoming a Man. Also the same spot as you, that Alberta had the baby. Death Knocks Against the Death Knocks Against scene. Also Sins of the Father, and then finally Troy's victory scene. One of the final ones. I mean, there's so many like pivotal scenes in this film. Like, were there any particular ones that kind of stood out to you or resonate with you the most?
Obviously, the slingshot, and like I'm standing in one spot with you, those. But when they were about to go to the funeral, and he was like, even I'm gonna stop saying their real names and say their what's called
actual character.
Rose, like Rose was like, even all he's done. Rose would say, you still got to respect your father. You still got to come. You still got, he's still your dad at the end of the day. And him holding those grudges, those are extremely realistic. You hold grudges from, it doesn't have to be a parent. It could be a friend. It could be a colleague. It could be anybody. You can hold those grudges because they did this or whatever, and you haven't forgave them. And I think that was the biggest. He didn't forgive him for what he did to the family, even though he's human, But I thought that was a dope scene. And her just like, like I wanted to experience life. Like you just sit there and think like, bro, like whatever you going through, she's going through it 10 times worse because you the head.
10 times worse.
You the head.
Yeah.
She had aspirations. She wanted to do something. She wanted to step out. Like, but I understood where he was coming from too, but like it's so much pressure, but you don't do what he did. Obviously, you just don't do that. And then he didn't want to stop. So, I mean, you got to go, brother. No, that's strike two, son. Don't you start out.
Strike two. Absolutely. And I mean, another I guess like another aspect of the movie, like especially the respect part of it, in
Yes.
terms of like still respecting your father when something like that happens.
Yeah.
Like what? How did that like stand out to you? Because like, you know, she even says at the end of the movie, like, no matter what has happened, obviously, like he made a huge mistake, broke up, just a core amount of trust with his family members. Like what
Yeah.
stood out to you in terms of that part with her, just like with her like addressing to her son, like, hey, you still have to respect your dad no matter
Yeah.
what. Even when something like this happens that really wrecks trust and just like a sense of respect for someone.
I think she understood that respect goes a long way. And when you respect someone, I think eventually you'll be able to forgive them. But I think she understood the path that he was going down, because you're going to have to be a father.
Yep.
You're going to make mistakes. You're not going to be the perfect person. Your kid's going to hold grudges against you, but you will want them to forgive you. So I think it was a learning opportunity for him to understand, like, yeah, he did a lot of great things. He did a lot of bad things, but you still have to respect him, because at the end of the day, you have to be a father as well. You have to be a individual people are going to like not rock with you or have grudges towards you. You want them to forgive you. So I think she understood that this was a learning moment. You got to understand, you still got to respect him regardless of what he did, because
Absolutely.
you will want the same thing. But yeah, great mom moment, great teaching moment.
Yeah, definitely. And now getting into most memorable quotes. I had a man is supposed to take care of his family, from Troy. Also, I told you a watch pot never boils from Rose. Some people build fences to keep people out, and other people build fences to keep people in. From Jim. Also, Troy Maxon. It's not easy for me to admit that I've been standing in the same place for 18 years. A really pivotal quote. And then also, I took all my feelings, my wants and needs and dreams. I buried them inside of you. I planted a seed and watched and prayed over it. I planted myself inside of you and waited to bloom. From Rose. And there's just so many quotes in here that are, you know, from the heart. They're transparent. They're really trying to express something to the other person. Like, what quote in particular, or maybe you know, a couple quotes stood out to you in this one?
Yeah, I think Rose had the most profound quotes, and I think when she said, your daddy wanted you to be everything he wasn't, and at the same time he wanted you to be everything he was. Crazy. That is that's crazy. And then everything that boy do, he do for you. So those correlate perfect, because you want your dad to say, I'm proud of you. You want your dad to see how hard you're working. And you know what I mean? And I think you chasing the approval of your father, and him chasing approval of his father. And, you know, I think it's just a never ending sequel, and you got to break those generational curses. And I think this film touched those things, that even though your father was a certain way, doesn't mean you have to be that way. You know what I mean? So I thought, yeah, she had a lot of them. You know, well, I've been standing here with you. I get 18 years of my life to stand in the same spot as you. And I just saw a bit of snot just fly off her nose and landing on that innocent ground of grass out there in that backyard. I just know it's still staying back there, Wellington. Yo, I could have been no sound guy, no camera guy when she did that, because in my head, like, bro,
are you?
Bro, I couldn't do it, bro. I would have been just like this.
Like, y'all seeing this?
Bro, let me that boom might would have dropped by 3 or 4 times. I ain't gonna lie to you, because she would have did that. Ooh, but nah, yeah. But Rose had some of the dopest quotes.
Oh yeah,
yeah, she had some
absolutely.
And
now getting into what did you like the most about the storyline? Looking at some of the particular aspects of it. I mean, obviously, like, emphasizing respect, emphasizing, you know, responsibility. You know, no matter what we can say about Troy, he did show his son, like, hey, like, for future years to come, like, this is what you have to do to provide for a family, to protect your family, to take care of your wife one day. All those basic family aspects, and just, you know, for manhood as well. Were laid out really well. Like, to you, like, what particular element of the storyline, like, did you kind of like the most?
I like there was dialogue within the family
dialogue,
that they didn't like just let things float away. Like there were always teachable moments, whether it was good or bad. Like even when he was, I think, trying to go play baseball or something he was trying to do, he was like, "You think that's right? You need to go down there and go get that job and make some money." Like so, there was always teachable moments. There were always great dialogue that you don't really are not allowed to have at a young age with your pops or with your mom. Well, you can have it with your mom, but not with your pops, because it's a different type of hierarchy when it comes to father and son. But I do think I love the dialogue that they have in the wife and mother. I mean, wife and husband, and the wife, the mother and the son. Like, I love that dialogue, that stuff that you don't really see, that they highlighted a lot. Those unseen conversations, hard conversations. It was a lot of hard conversations. But yeah, I think I like that the most. It was realistic and relatable. Yeah, you see the family dynamic, you see the family hierarchy, and especially in that time, it was bad. Oh yeah, especially for the black family, black men. Yeah.
And that's really another thing that stood out. Looking back at that time in that era, like what's like how accurate like do you think like they were able to portray like that time period of what was happening then? You know, just in the 50s, it was especially different. It was extremely different in terms of just like everything that was laid out in society, just the separation of races and all those things that were just reality back then. Like what stood out to you just in terms of the depiction of that era and just how things were back then?
Oh, spot on. You know, like when you say he already had 2 strikes against him, you know?
Yeah.
Like he only had a certain life. He was a black man. It was a slim pickings. You had to work harder than the next man, work harder than the white man. Yeah. You didn't have many resources. You didn't have anything. So all you could do that you can control is your family, what you eat, what you drink, and who you mess around with. That's all you could control. Like, come in, you beat down all day and you come home. And I think that was the importance of having a 2-parent home, and the importance of having a family. Like, family is all they had back in this time, because they didn't have much. There was paycheck to paycheck, barely paying bills, stretching things, and then, I think it depicted it perfectly. And then you realize, like, I'm doing the same thing. I want something new. And then something new come, and it mess up your whole family. And then you don't want to let it go because it's something new. Mm-hmm. Perfect depiction.
Yeah, it was absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. They did not, looking back at that, just how different things were. It's crazy how well they were able to really pinpoint it and just get it down to a T. But getting to our last topic, 10 years from now, like, do you still think this will be watchable and intriguing? I definitely think the performances and everything that was laid out. I mean, it's just, this was the best of the best. When you see Viola Davis and Denzel Washington movie together, just put these type of performances late in their career like this. I mean, it's just exceptional black excellence, as they've always been able to display. Like, how do you think this movie will age, even another 10 years from now, for people that, haven't seen this film as much and are going to see it for the first time?
There's so many memorable scenes. First and foremost, and we get those, and social media is so beautiful, and it has its dark side, obviously, but you get to see those snippet clips, and it's gonna make you wonder what that is, or like who is that? Like, even the young kids, who is Denzel Washington? Who's Viola Davis? Well, you gonna find out.
You'll find out very soon.
But then it's relatable. It's that family dynamic, especially the black family, is relatable. You have certain moments that you can, relate to, and you can correlate with your own life. And it's realistic. It's definitely realistic, and the depiction is realistic. And I think it's going to stand the test of time, which it already is, because of the great actors that are in it, and then the relatability to it. Especially those moments which you just want approval. You want to hear, "I'm proud of you," and those intimate moments that you don't get if your father wasn't, raised that way, or you don't get those opportunities because you got to be manly and masculine. So I think people will gravitate to it for those reasons. I mean, it's a great film.
Yeah, absolutely. And one more thing, like that relationship, that father-son relationship, was one of the biggest things that stood out to me. How much do you how much do you put on, even in reality, when it comes to black families and just black fathers and well, it's just how much their past and how they grew up affects how they deal with their kids, and especially their sons, because it's one thing about that connection of just like, hey, like, I'm gonna support you, but that real one-on-one connection is one of those things that may take time to develop, because they're on that one track mind of, I've got to do what I've got to do for you now until you can finally realize and take it all in of what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. And I think from it coming down from generation to generation, I think it takes into account for a percentage. But like I was saying, like, it doesn't, just because your father was this way or instilled these things in you, doesn't mean you have to do the same. And I know a lot of fathers wasn't there, or was terrible, or womanizers or women beaters, but it didn't turn out that way. Some do. Don't get me wrong, some do. But I think a percentage of it is up to you. A percentage of it, you don't have to be like your father. But I do think having that one-on-one connection with your son and trying to instill those hard things, it's going to be difficult. And you got to choose, what do you want more? Do you want to have that friendship type vibes with your kid, or you want to still discipline, which is not easy, and this doesn't come out with friendship, because you got to be a hard, stern father. But you do have those little moments where you're soft, and you can have those talks with your kid and just tell them, like, I'm really proud of you, I love you. But also, I think it's not even a balance. You have to slide that in every now and again.
Oh yeah. You
gotta be stern, man. You have to be stern. You have that discipline, but you have to add that love too. Yeah. Well, discipline is an act of love, but like that intimate, like, I'm proud. Yeah, I love you. So give me a hug. I love you. So that's difficult sometimes, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that wraps it up for tonight. I'm your host, Winter Burns. Let my counterpart Savon Morris. This has been Full Scope. See you later.